Good evening. I'm Tiago with the HGP Nightly News this week in review. Here's a recap of the top stories covered within the past week. Amid escalating tensions caused by Venezuela's provocative actions and statements, including plans to elect a governor for Guyana's Essequibo region, Guyana's agent in Venezuela border case, Carl Greenidge, has warned that the country must prepare for any eventuality. Find out more in this report.
Speaking in an exclusive interview with this newscast, Guyana's agent in the Venezuela border case, Carl Greenidge, emphasized the need for vigilant and proactive measures as Venezuela seeks to disrupt the legal and diplomatic process. Greenidge addressed Venezuela's ongoing attempts to divert attention and prolong proceedings at the International Court of Justice, ICJ.
You have to expect anything because they may do anything. This is an administration which is illegal in all senses of the word, and therefore its actions may well continue to be taken along those lines.
Greenidge strongly condemned the Maduro administration's intention to pursue what he called, quote-unquote, a completely illegal and disreputable act. He pointed out that Venezuela has never controlled Essequibo, nor has it been granted temporary title to the region at any international forum. He emphasized that Guyana's response must involve diplomatic efforts and engagement with international partners to counter these actions.
Guyana has to work with its international partners and bilaterals and the multinational institutions to ensure that Venezuela does not perpetrate this outrage.
While urging the global community to recognize the fabricated nature of Venezuela's claims, Greenidge also underscored the need for Guyana to bolster its defenses.
It will have to protect itself militarily and otherwise.
In a separate interview, Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs Amanda Walton-Desir called for stronger diplomatic engagement. She highlighted the need for the government to take decisive action in rallying international support and addressing Venezuela's provocative actions.
I am deeply, deeply disappointed in the reaction of CARICOM. Guyana continues to be an active, engaged member of the Caribbean community, and we have not yet been able to get out of CARICOM a very strong statement, or at least I have not seen it, a very strong statement condemning this latest action by Nicolas Maduro.
Walton-Desir stressed that Venezuela's actions are not just an attack on Guyana's sovereignty, but also on the principles of territorial integrity and sovereignty that underpin global stability. She urged for more concerted efforts to rally regional neighbors and the international community.
It appears to me that the government continues to be too reactive to this situation.
Tianako reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Also on Monday, meanwhile, Antonio Day tells us that the Alliance for Change has expressed dissatisfaction over government's failure to engage members of the opposition and civil society regarding the Ghana-Venezuela controversy.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a statement last week condemned the announcement by President Nicolas Maduro on January 7, 2025, regarding the election of a governor for Guyana's Essequibo territory. According to the subject ministry, Maduro's recent action constitutes a direct violation of the commitments in the Argyle Agreement of December 14, 2023 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, Alliance for Change member Beverly Alert criticized the state for failing to engage members of the opposition and civil society on the developments regarding the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute.
The people and their elected representatives are not being engaged and instead are deliberately being kept in the dark.
Alert reasoned that Venezuela has continuously violated international law and its commitments in the signed Argyle Agreement.
Building bridges, fortifying and cocoa, cyber attacks, and appointing governors are only the most recent indicators that we have seen. But much more is taking place below the surface.
She advocated for the government to take a people-centered and inclusive approach regarding this matter, which is of national importance.
There has to be a whole of government and whole of nation approach that includes all strata of our society and all elected representatives.
The AFC member noted that the Venezuelan government should not be taken for granted.
Cat will eat our dinner. While the PPP parades and prances around to gain voter support, our neighbor to the west is not playing. We demand the immediate convening of the Foreign Relations Committee and the reconvening of a bipartisan border national security committee to ensure all hands are at work.
Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
On Tuesday, the prolonged absence of a substantive Chancellor of the Judiciary and the Chief Justice in Guyana is once again placed in the limelight, with President of the Guyana Bar Association Kamal Ramkaran being the most recent to add his voice to the conversation. Find out more in this report.
President of the Bar Association Kamal Ramkaran on Tuesday, during the opening of Law Week 2025 at the Supreme Court, expressed frustration over the prolonged absence of a substantive Chancellor of the Judiciary and the Chief Justice in Guyana.
This situation is untenable and it is unacceptable, and it is not something that we can continue to have happen.
Ramkaran pointed out that over 2 decades, the roles of Chancellor and the Chief Justice have been filled by acting officials, with Justices Janet Cummins Edwards and Roxanne George serving in the respective positions since 2017.
The process is not complicated. There is no reason that we should be here 20 years later without a Chancellor and a Chief Justice, and this is not something that should be accepted by anyone.
Ramkaran emphasized that the 2 acting justices who have served the judiciary with distinction are more than qualified to be confirmed in the positions they currently occupy.
I certainly still believe that the 2 people who are performing the role of Chancellor and Chief Justice, I don't want to call them acting because they're not acting, they're doing their jobs every day. The people who are performing the role of Chancellor and Chief Justice are the people who should be confirmed in their positions, and it should happen as soon as possible.
He also highlighted the tireless work of the Chancellor and the Chief Justice over the years, questioning why their prolonged appointments. The Bar Association's president noted that Article 127(1) of the Constitution mandates that the Chancellor and the Chief Justice shall each be appointed by the President after obtaining the agreement of the Leader of the Opposition.
There's nothing complicated about that. The first part of it is a duty. It is a clear and unambiguous duty, which the law says is compellable. The Chancellor and the Chief Justice shall each be appointed by the President once there is a vacancy.
Guyana's failure to confirm a substantive Chancellor and a Chief Justice has persisted across 4 consecutive presidential terms. This impasse stems from the constitutional requirement that the president secure the opposition leader's approval before making such appointments. Nearly 3 years ago, opposition leader Aubrey Norton wrote to the president, indicating his support for the confirmation of Justices Cummins and George to the 2 top judicial posts. Norton has since maintained that his support remains in place, alleging that it is the president who has been reluctant to advance the process. Currently, Justice Janet Cummins Edwards performs the duties of Chancellor, and Justice Roxanne George serves as Chief Justice in an acting capacity. Both were appointed by former President David Granger in 2017. Tiana reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned to find out what other interesting stories made the news this week.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Thanks for interesting with us here on the HGP Nightly News Week in Review. Also on Tuesday, amid the high rate of cases filed, Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George on Tuesday called for greater use of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, including mediation and restorative justice, to address the current strain on the judiciary. More in this report.
Speaking at the opening of Law Week 2025, Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George emphasized the need for innovative approaches to improving access to justice while balancing the heavy caseload faced by the courts. The Acting Chief Justice noted that the Judiciary's Strategic Plan 2024 to 2031 has already achieved a major milestone: the successful rollout of the e-litigation system for the Court of Appeal, the Full Court, and the High Court. The e-litigation portal, which was launched on January 30, 2024, as of December 31, 2024, saw a significant number of appeals and applications filed through the portal.
37 appeals were filed in the Full Court, and 1,637 cases were filed in the High Court, broken down as follows: 1,373 cases for Demerara, 377 for Burris, and 76 cases in Essequibo.
Highlighting the increase in volume of cases, Justice George strongly encouraged the use of alternative dispute resolution methods, such as mediation and restorative justice, as practical solutions to manage disputes more efficiently.
Despite the increase in number of judicial officers, the court system cannot realistically conduct trials in every case or deliver judgments within the 4-month time frame prescribed by law due to the heavy caseload dealt with by each civil judge.
She praised the seamless transition to the e-litigation system, describing it as a transformative step for the administration of justice.
Lawyers and litigants alike, as well as judicial officers and the staff at the various registries, have adapted and adopted the new system with enthusiasm.
Meanwhile, Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Janet Cummins Edwards, highlighted significant progress in various areas, including enhancing access to justice, improving technological processes, meeting clients' needs, and optimizing financial and material resources. She noted that the reconstitution of the Judicial Service Commission came at a pivotal moment, enabling the appointment of 10 judges, 9 magistrates, 3 commissioners of title, and other legal and support staff to strengthen the judiciary's capacity.
It makes us being more effective and efficient in addressing the caseloads and in dealing with the very many matters that come before us.
Chancellor Cummins Edwards also underscored the transition from a paper-based system to a digital platform with significantly reduced paperwork and increased efficiency.
There have been increases in the volume of cases filed, you would have heard, and the precious judicial workforce needed to be enhanced to deal with those increase.
Tiana reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
On Wednesday, a tense standoff between the City Council and the Guyana Labor Union, GLU, over proposed salary increases has escalated, with the union threatening industrial action. Carice Gonzalez has the details.
The Mayor and City Council's revenue performance for 2024 has been unpredictable, leading to a tense debate among council members. The inconsistency in revenue flow has prompted calls for salary increases from the city's staff. City Treasurer Ugochi Erdista has proposed limiting any wage hikes until 2024 to address the financial uncertainty. Through the town clerk Candice Nelson, a letter was penned to the Guyana Labor Union surrounding the issue, and subsequently, the union responded noting that they are not prepared to meet with the council to go through the process of vacillation unless the council can say when the increase of salary wages would be paid. The GLU has also warned that unless an agreement is reached, it will proceed with industrial action on Thursday, January 16, 2025, and has informed the Ministry of Labour of its decision. City Mayor Alfred Mentor acknowledged the concerns raised by GLU General Secretary Carville Duncan, emphasizing his commitment to finding a resolution. In an exclusive interview with 90 News, the mayor revealed that he is preparing to draft a letter to the Ministry of Labour requesting the appointment of a neutral conciliator to help resolve the wage dispute and facilitate further talks.
So if that doesn't work out, when we have that neutral conciliator, the option is also for mediation and then to arbitration.
Mentor reiterated that he is not against salary increases, but City Council's focus is on improving revenue collection from delinquent taxpayers. He stressed the importance of addressing issues such as market development, garbage collection, and drainage problems. The mayor emphasized that a collective approach is necessary to ensure consistent revenue flow, especially as some council officers have been failing to carry out their duties.
If they were doing their job the way they should and looking after their statutory responsibility to cause the council to be able to get the kind of monies that it needs to get based on enforcing those statutory responsibilities, we would not have been in this position. We want to tie them and lock them in this position and lock the councillors, lock the officers, lock the unions, and lock everyone. All staff must be on deck, or all hands must be on deck in order for us to get the kind of resources necessary to deal with these issues.
Despite current disagreements, Mayor Mentor assured city staff that after the upcoming talks with the GLU and the MNCC, the council would make a decision on how to proceed with salary increases. The city's revenue performance in 2024 has been inconsistent, with 92% of expected market fees and 91% of container fees collected. Only half of the targeted revenue from other sources were met. Furthermore, only 58% of the anticipated property tax were collected. In total, the revenues from market and container fees, along with other sources, amounted to $803.2 million, while the property taxes contributed to $1.297 billion. Despite a revenue goal of $3.2 billion for the year, the city fell short by more than $1.2 billion, complicating discussions regarding potential salary increases. I am Carice Gonzalez reporting for the HGP 90 News.
Still on news from Wednesday. 2 policemen have been busted with drugs, while yet another prison officer has been jailed after he tried to smuggle marijuana in a prison. More in this Travis J's report.
2 ranks attached to the SWAT unit of the Guyana Police Force have been busted with just over a pound of foreign marijuana stashed in their motor car. Police Lance Corporal Kevin Thompson and Lance Corporal Dwayne Perry are now under close arrest pending charges. The operation to catch the men happened Tuesday night at Camp and Newmarket Streets just after 11 p.m. It was reported that the police anti-crime patrol stopped the silver Axia motor car and requested to carry out a search on the vehicle. Sources familiar with the investigation have told the Nightly News that the SWAT cops have until now opted to remain silent when questioned. They are being processed for court. It was Home Affairs Minister Robson Ben who told a news conference recently that for the year 2024, 17 cops have been charged for various criminal offences. But on Wednesday morning, on the sidelines of an event, Minister Ben was approached for a comment on this latest issue.
The law will take its course. They're not above the law, they're not outside of the law. And if they are involved in the matter and are proved in a court of law, the courts will give the appropriate sentences.
In a separate incident, prison officer Joel Johnson appeared at the Bartica Magistrates Court and pleaded guilty to the charge of possession of narcotics for the purpose of trafficking 1 day after he was arrested at a checkpoint to the Mazruni prison with over 800 grams of marijuana in his possession. The 21-year-old prison officer was sentenced to 3 years in prison and fined $30,000. The police claim that on Tuesday evening, Johnson returned to the Mazruni prison after being away for 4 days, and as such, he was subjected to a mandatory search. During the search of his backpack, 800 grams of marijuana stashed in Irish Spring soap boxes and Colgate toothpaste boxes were found. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
More of the top stories of the past week after the break. Stay tuned.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Thanks for staying with us. On Thursday, the Guyana Elections Commission has been hauled before the High Court again. The issue of verification of addresses of registrants is now once again in the spotlight. Travis Chase has more details.
The High Court on Wednesday held the first hearing in the case brought by People's National Congress Reform member Carol Smith-Joseph. Smith-Joseph has asked the High Court to order the Guyana Elections Commission to conduct house-to-house verification of the addresses of registrants, or future elections would not be credible. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal seems befuddled by the filing of the case, arguing that such arguments laid out by Joseph to the court had already been ruled upon when Christopher Ram had challenged the legality of house-to-house registration in August of 2019.
To remove a person from a list or to prevent the registration of a person because that person is not living at a particular fixed place of abode would be unconstitutional.
Smith-Joseph wants the High Court to declare that the National Registration Act requires not only the verification of the existence of addresses claimed, but also that applicants live at or are connected to those addresses. Mr. Nandlal believes that such request is unconstitutional.
On what basis is there a requirement that you must live at a particular address in order to vote? Just work it out logically in your mind.
Smith-Joseph is represented by Attorney Dexter Todd. Attorney Todd's argument is that the current mode of verification by GCOM sets a dangerous precedent for the future and the public's confidence in the National Register of Registrants, general and regional elections, local government elections, and irreparable damage to the rule of law.
So what the registration officers have been doing is verifying address, but they have not been connecting the registrant to the address. So that has presented a serious problem.
In essence, Smith-Joseph says the amendment to the National Registration Act requires the court's interpretation of the section to authorize the staff of GCOM to verify not only the existence of addresses, but also the connection of the address to the applicant or registrant.
Particularly the Commissioner of Registration is by law obligated to ensure that the register is accurate. The contention of this whole matter is ensuring that GCOM knows and they are reminded that the NRA must always be as accurate as possible.
The case will be heard on the 17th of March 2025 again. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Also on Thursday, the first of two extraditions to the United States took place on Wednesday. Home Affairs Minister Robson Ben earlier this week made the announcement during a media conference. Find out more in this report.
On Monday, during the Ministry of Home Affairs end-of-year press conference, Minister Robson Ben revealed that 2 arrests had been made in connection with extradition matters.
Extradition matters are both Guyanese who are overseas and involved in serious criminal matters.
On Thursday, the government of Guyana extradited to the United States of America Permanent Singh, a Guyanese citizen. A statement published by the Ministry of Home Affairs indicated that Singh waived his right to an extradition hearing and agreed to return to the USA to address the judicial proceedings related to a fatal vehicular accident. In September 2024, the government of Guyana received a formal extradition request from the United States government. Acting on this request, Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben directed Chief Magistrate Acting Faith McGusty to initiate the necessary legal proceedings for extradition. Permanent Singh is accused of operating a motor vehicle while his blood alcohol level exceeded the legal limit, impairing his faculties. He allegedly collided with another vehicle, resulting in the death of its sole occupant. Following the accident, Singh sustained injuries and received medical treatment at Broward Health Medical Center in Florida. During his treatment, 2 blood samples were lawfully obtained and analyzed for alcohol or drug content. Laboratory results revealed blood alcohol concentrations of 0.15 grams per deciliter and 0.158 grams per deciliter, both significantly above Florida's legal limit of 0.08 for operating a motor vehicle. Singh's arrest was executed under a warrant issued by Chief Magistrate Acting Faith McGusty. The prosecution team representing the interest of the United States included Ms. Lisa Cave, Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions in the Director of Public Prosecutions Chambers, Ms. Omela Gladstone, Treaty Officer at the Ministry of Home Affairs, and Sergeant Stephen Hines of the Major Crimes Unit, who served as the investigating officer. On January 3, 2025, Singh was taken into custody for extradition by Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty. He remained in custody until his extradition was completed on January 15, 2025. This successful extradition highlights Guyana's dedication to international cooperation and its commitment to ensuring justice transcends borders. The revision of the Guyana's extradition law facilitates efficient legal proceedings for international extradition requests and ensuring compliance with global treaties. Tianako reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
And finally, on Friday, there will be no biometrics for the 2025 general and regional elections. That decision was arrived at by Chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, Claudette Singh.
In the face of mounting calls from the parliamentary opposition and some quarters of civil society, Chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, has said that there will be no implementation of biometrics for the 2025 general and regional elections. Justice Singh, in arriving at her decision, said that with less than a year to go before the general and regional elections, and given the number of tasks needed to be done before such a system can be properly introduced, and all of the work already required to prepare for general and regional elections, she is convinced that this is not feasible within the available time frame. In relation to whether GCOM would introduce the digital collection of fingerprints and biometric fingerprint identification of voters in time for the 2025 general and regional elections, Singh said GCOM would still have to do several major things, including holding stakeholder consultations to determine whether GCOM should introduce biometrics now, consulting with stakeholders like the government and parliament to determine whether it is even possible to do so now, considering things like costs and any legislative amendments necessary to cater fully for it, procurement of equipment for the introduction of biometrics in the registration process and at the place of poll, training of staff on the use of such equipment, public education on the introduction of these systems and how they are to be used to aid in registration and in voting. It was Chief Election Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Vishnu Prasad, who found that electronic fingerprint biometric registration and voting would be more secure and would address allegations of voter fraud and voter impersonation. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Amid escalating tensions between Guyana and Venezuela over the Essequibo region, Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs Amansa Walton Desir is urging the government of Guyana to launch an aggressive public relations campaign.
Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs Amanda Walton Desir, in a telephone interview at this newscast, criticized the government for selectively engaging international media only to promote its domestic political propaganda. She stressed that the campaign must not only highlight Guyana's legitimate claim to Essequibo, but also counter Venezuela's provocative actions and statements, including its plans to elect a governor for the region. Walton Desir insists that leveraging social media and international platforms are critical to bringing global attention to Guyana's case.
I am saying to them that they must use those very same media to push Guyana's case on the international community.
Walton Desir stressed that the Guyana-Venezuela issue must take center stage in the court of public opinion.
It means deliberately outreaching to major outlets and news networks using social media, for example. We have thousands of Guyanese who are resident in Essequibo. The government needs to be on the ground, and the message needs to be sent loud and clear to Nicolas Maduro that Essequibians, Guyanese, will not be partaking in any of his shenanigans.
She also urged the government to refocus its efforts and demonstrate its capability to handle domestic and international issues simultaneously.
This is an election season, and that Venezuela will capitalize on our distractions that usually accompany our domestic elections, our national regional elections.
Walton Desir, who was also parliamentarian, argued for a robust public relations campaign that highlights Guyana's unwavering commitment to the peaceful resolution of the Essequibo matter. This campaign, she said, must also expose the baseless nature of Venezuela's claim and rally international support for Guyana's case.
It means engaging the international press. It means sending out your ambassadors to appear in various news programs. It means leveraging platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
The Guyana-Venezuela border dispute centers on Venezuela's claim to the Essequibo region, which makes up nearly 2/3 of Guyana's territory. This issue, dating back to an 1899 arbitral award that Venezuela later rejected, has resurfaced with increased intensity as Venezuela seeks to assert control over the area, citing unverified historical claims. Guyana, backed by international law and a commitment to peaceful resolution, continues to defend its sovereignty, recently taking the matter to the International Court of Justice. Tiana reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
That has brought us to the end of the HGP Nightly News this week in review. On behalf of the Nightly News team, thanks for watching.